and welcome back to this session about Scrum and why Scrum is so awesome. So like the last video, you saw about the waterfall model and this water going down and this working process where we can't go back. Scrum is very good because you have this agile way of working with things, but also incremental and iterative. And I will try to start up explaining with building a house. So when we build a house, what do we need in the beginning? We need a foundation. So the foundation is very important for a house. And of course, as a customer who wants this house built, you have some requirements, you have some specification for this foundation. It could be that you want some heat in your foundation.
Nice.
All right. So the problem about the waterfall model is that you need to go all the way down, like build the whole house before testing it. But with the Scrum, you build step by step. So starting up with building the foundation, afterwards you want the walls, of course. So you have the walls. I need it and want it in these colors and so on. So again, that's a requirement. I have some specification. What do we call the people building the house? They design, so they build it.
Yeah.
We see the implementation, so we see the wall rises. And afterwards we test it by seeing on it, and maybe we test if it's strong enough and so on. The same with the roof, maybe also the kitchen, and so on and so forth. So the thing about the Scrum is that we have this incremental way of building a house. So we go requirements, specification, design, implementation, and then we test. So instead of working with things in a year or 2 years, we can actually just use 1 week, 14 days, building the foundation, building the walls, building the kitchen, the roof, and so on. So we do it step by step. And every one of those we see here, we call this iterative. So an iteration is like a loop, looking like this. And Lars, he wants to tell a little bit about not building a house, but building software.
Actually, the same idea. It's just right now we're building the house, and every time you something that's done, you want to show it to the customer again, right? Because by doing this, we make sure the customer likes what he works with. Now, of course, that's the same for software development. We need to kind of, every time we make something, we want to show it to the customer. Not only does it help us getting feedback from the customer, but also gives us a sense of completion, right? So let's say instead of a house, can you wipe that one? Mm-hmm. Instead of a house, what we want to build is software. So we have this list of features. We make some kind of log about what features the customer wants, right? We're going to call that a backlog later. And we actually prioritize these features so we know which features are the most important ones. So that's how we will build software in Scrum. Now, every time we made one of these features, maybe we say for the first 14 days, we can make 3 features. That's all we have time for. And what we do in the end, when we're done building these features, we present it to the happy customer, right? The happy customer says, great features, I like it, you can continue. Or he might say, well, feature 3 was not quite the way I wanted it. Let's try and change that a little bit. Now we can bring that into the second sprint. So now we want to actually build on these 3 features, where feature 3 is going to be changed a little bit to make the customer happy again. And in the end, again, the customer will say, I like these features, they rock, hopefully, and then we're done with that part as well. So this is, again, an iterative process compared to, if you remember the waterfall, where you ended up with all of this after a long time, and that wasn't iterative at all. You might end up having a huge set of features the customer didn't like. Now we have an iterative process that we keep doing these requirement steps, requirement, specification, design, implementation, test, and we keep doing these one at a time with a lot shorter time span of 1 to 4 weeks. Okay, so that's the iterative part. Now the second cool thing is, as you notice right here, and also what Trine explained with the house, every round you add to the software, right? So that's the incremental part. So think of it this way, now the software is done with the login screen. Next time you have software that's done with a list of users, and the application just starts growing with more and more features in these small iterations, right? So that's what the iterative process is all about, and that's also what incrementation means. So that's all part of the agile process. So now you know a bit more about iterative, incremental software development. Next, let's try and dive into more specifically how we do it in the Scrum process. So that's it for this lesson. See you next time.